So what we're going to do is we're going to make a little bit of pork loin. We're going to make it with wild rice and going to do broccolini with mixed vegetables and a black currant and mission fig balsamic vinegar sauce. The first thing we're going to want to do is take your pork loin. If anybody's ever cooked pork loin or anything with a silver skin on the outside edge, they've probably seen it do one of these numbers while it cooks. It curls up like that. To stop that, take a knife and just cut right through that. That way it won't curl. If any of you have ever fried bologna, same concept for your bologna. If you haven't had fried bologna, do yourself a favor and get fried bologna. It's delicious. Once we get that on, what I'm going to do is turn the stove on, high heat, get a little bit of oil in there. I like to use olive oil. If you can, anything that's going to be a high temperature oil at this point because you want to do a little bit of searing. Don't season your meat too fast if you're going to sear. If you put salt on it right now, salt's just going to pull moisture out to the skin. It will never, ever, ever sear. Wait until the very last minute before you salt and pepper any proteins that you want to sear. If it's going on the grill, your grill will make the marks no matter how much seasoning you put on it ahead of time. Vegetables, we're doing broccolini. Broccolini is broccoli and Chinese broccoli hybrid. It's got a lot milder flavor. This doesn't come as bitter. We're gonna put this today with some red peppers and some orange grape tomatoes. Once we get our pan nice and hot, we can go ahead and start a little bit of water. We're gonna parboil off our broccolini. Broccolini is a little bit on the tough side before. You can just saute it if you want. They're great on the grill, but if you boil them, you're going to be a little bit better off. Everybody's going to be a little bit more happy. Fresh cracked black pepper. I like mine to be a little bit thicker, not so fine ground. Whenever you put anything into a hot pan, and some people do, some people don't know this, put it in away from you. So that way it does not splash towards you. If it splashes towards you, it's definitely no fun. When you're doing this, if you're like this kitchen, it will start to smoke on you if there's not a lot of good ventilation. Sear your sides, turn your oven on, finish it in the oven. What I'm going to do now is get the broccolini in the pot so that way it can start cooking, parboil, let that go for a little bit. It takes 6 to 8 minutes depending on how thick the broccolini actually is. In the meantime, I'm going to cut a couple more red pepper sticks. I like my vegetables a little bit more crunchy, so I'm not going to parboil these. If you want and you're not a fan of the crunchy al dente vegetables like I am, you can just turn around and par cook these off too, but I am not going to. Last we have the cherry tomatoes. If you have a tomato that's like this, it's just going to roll around on your plate, right? You can cut them in half like this, or you can get fancy and cut them in half like that. The oven's real nice and hot. We're going to stick it in the oven to finish in the oven. As they finish in the oven, you're not going to have as much smoke in your kitchen. It's a lot nicer, especially in a house like mine. What I'm going to do now is get us another saute pan, and we will start our vegetables. A little bit of olive oil. Because I haven't cooked the peppers at all, peppers go in first. Tomatoes next. Depending on how much you like tomatoes, depends on how much tomatoes you want to use. So I'm just going to reheat the wild rice. Always start everything in oil. When you do anything, get your oil smoking hot before you start. It's going to make sure that you don't stick to your pan as bad. A little bit of broccolini, getting a little bit of color on the tomatoes. That's really nice. One of the last things that we're going to put in this is we're going to put some diced chopped garlic. I always like to add garlic to my vegetables. It is probably one of the things everybody should guarantee they have in their house at all times is garlic. More fresh cracked pepper. And then we're going to pull this over here for right now and wait. What I've already done earlier is mixed some black currant and black mission fig balsamic vinegar together to make this sauce. It's almost like a sweet and sour for the pork. I actually originally used this sauce, almost an identical sauce like this, for duck. Put our wild rice in there just to heat that back up. Just a simple boxed rice. If somebody wants to look up the right proportion, quantity, how to exactly cook rice, look it up. It's all over online. Now, this should be warm enough. We'll put this over here. And then we're gonna pull off our broccolini. If you're doing your broccolini ahead like I did, once it's cooked, get it under cold running water right away to stop the cooking process. If you don't do that, you'll end up with mush. And then through the magic of home cooking, I have some pork already ready for us. I don't care how you plate it. Anybody can plate food any way they want. This is the way I like it. I usually like to start starch in the center. Vegetables off to the side. You want to be fancy, you're going to face all of your vegetables the same way, so that way they look a little bit better. I'm going to show you guys a little trick from home. You have a cutting board, right? We've cut vegetables on this. You may or may not want to cut your protein on this tray. Wait for it, wait for it. There's another side. Look at that. That's a life hack. Now you can cut this as thick or thin as you want. Just keep in mind that the thinner you cut it, the faster it will dry out. If you leave it a little bit thicker cut, it doesn't dry out as fast. Nobody likes dry protein. I don't care what your mom or grandma tells you or how good their gravy is, nobody wants it to be dry. And there it is. Pork loin, wild rice, and broccolini and vegetables with a black currant sauce. This is definitely a family meal. I know my family will like this, and I know they're going to be disappointed they're not going to get to eat this with me.